Namaskar. Welcome to our Hananda Marg Elementary Philosophy course. This is the class number 7. The topic today is, what is the aim of humanity? It is all based on the teachings of Sri Sri Anandamurti, and my name is Dada Rainjitananda. Let's talk about creation. What is the purpose of it? Why did Saguna Brahma, which is the qualified supreme entity, why did it invent this creation? Philosophy says that the qualified supreme entity brings about this creation only to obtain the emancipation, the liberation for each one of its units. So this whole process that we see happening there, everything that is going on, is to liberate all beings. Just feel that the creation, whatever we see, whatever is going on, sometimes it seems that bad things are going on, good things are going on. Just keep in mind that all this is happening for the liberation of all beings. So in the end, everything that's happening is happening for good. That doesn't mean that we have to be passive towards what is happening. No, we are also here to act. So whatever is within our capacity, we have to do. If we see some injustice, we have to fight against it. If we see somebody in need for help, we have to help him or her. So we have to do our action. But just keep in mind that everything is happening for the liberation. Liberation will come to us through our actions. And we have to act. Every moment of our life is a moment that we have to do some action. What is the purpose of Saguna Brahma? To liberate everyone. And what's the purpose of the human being? Our purpose is to fulfill the purpose of Saguna Brahma. It means to get liberation. And the creation is the system that Saguna Brahma uses to liberate all units. Creation is moving as per the thought of Saguna Brahma. Everything is a thought projection of Saguna Brahma, so everything is moving according to Saguna Brahma. In this process of creation, Saguna Brahma had to come to the solid factor. Why? Because at that stage of solid factor, Saguna Brahma can be divided into many units. In fact, he only imagines that he is divided into many units because everything is his thought projection. So in his thought projection, he came to the state of solid. Now he imagines that he is divided into many units, and now all those units are moving again toward him, towards Brahma. And that's the thought wave of his imagination. Everything originates in that, everything merges back into that. And our sadhana, our practice, is always to think, I am that. I am that, and I'm moving towards that. That is the sadhana. When we are using our mantra, the mantra is reminding us that we are not this small that we think we are that great, that Brahma. At this point, let me put you one question. The question is, you have to choose the wrong statement. Which statement is wrong? There are 5 statements. The purpose of creation is the liberation of all beings. The second one, the purpose of Saguna Brahma is to liberate everyone. Number 3, the purpose of the human being is to reach to liberation. Number 4, the purpose of Prakriti is to qualify Purusha. And number 5, liberation is when the mind connects to Prakriti. Take some time, read all the statements, and choose your answer. Thank you. I think most of you have voted. Let's analyze each statement. The purpose of creation is the liberation of all beings. Yes, this is correct. We just mentioned it. Next one, the purpose of Saguna Brahma is to liberate everyone. Yes, that was in our previous class, and today also we mentioned this point, that what does Saguna Brahma really want? He wants the liberation of everyone. Number 3, the purpose of human beings is to reach to liberation. That's why we reach the human stage. We went through so many other bodies, and now we came to human body. And the purpose of the human body, the real utilization of the human body, reach to liberation. In our first class, what is the dharma of human being? The dharma of the human being to long, to move towards Brahma. We want to reach Brahma. That's why we have this desire of something infinite in our mind. That's why we are not satisfied with a little. If we just have a little, we want more and then more. The problem comes when we direct this desire to the physical world. If we direct it to the physical world, is a problem. The physical world has limitations. We want infinite. We will always be frustrated. But our desire is for the infinite. Our purpose is to reach the infinite. Reaching the infinite, we become liberated. Next, the purpose of Prakriti is to qualify Purusha. Yes. In Brahma, there is always Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti constantly wants to qualify Purusha. When it succeeds, that's the state of Saguna Brahma. When Prakriti cannot qualify Purusha, it's Nirguna Brahma, but Prakriti always wants to qualify Purusha. And the next one, liberation is when the mind connects to Prakriti. No, liberation is when the mind gets free from the influence of Prakriti. That's what we want. We want to be free from the influence of Prakriti. So what is the wrong statement? The last one. Liberation is when the mind connects to Prakriti. That's the wrong one. Moving ahead, humanity. Humanity is that last moment, is when the thought wave is reaching the end, means it came from that, and now it's returning to that. That last moment, that's humanity. So human beings, our next step is divinity. And our previous step was animality. We are coming from animality, then we are becoming humanity, and next we are going to become divinity. So human is that state between animal and divine. We have to reduce the influence of animality in us and increase the influence of divinity, moving towards divinity. So, human beings, we have a fully reflected consciousness so that we can move towards divinity. We can choose not to go towards animality, but to go towards the divine, towards Brahma. And here is a quote from the book by Sri Anandamurti. The wish of the qualified supreme entity is to obtain merger with the non-qualified entity, or the supreme rank for every one of its units. We've been talking so far about liberation, but we didn't talk about it in a specific way. Now we are talking more about it in a specific way. What is the goal here? What is the supreme rank? The supreme rank is to go towards the non-qualified entity. Who wishes us to merge into the non-qualified entity? The qualified entity. Saguna Brahma wishes us to merge into Nirguna Brahma. There are two states. The first one is we merge with Saguna Brahma, with the qualified supreme entity. That is mukti. We reach to that point that we are going to merge into Brahma, and we merge into Saguna Brahma. We merge into Saguna Brahma, we attain mukti. If our samskaras are finished and we merge into Saguna Brahma, we go into liberation, but that is mukti. What is the problem with mukti? The problem, we are still under the influence of Prakriti. Because we are still under the influence of Prakriti, Prakriti will again drag that unit back into the creation, again follow the whole cycle, again coming back to Brahma. This mukti is not permanent, and it's not the real goal. Today we are discussing what is the aim of humanity. So the aim is liberation, but not mukti. So there is another state. What is that next state? That next state is called moksha. Moksha is the final state. Moksha is complete freedom from the bondage of Prakriti. When that can be attained? When merging with the non-qualified supreme entity, Nirguna Brahma. Nirguna Brahma is beyond the influence of Prakriti. So only when merging with Nirguna Brahma, then we get moksha. We go beyond the influence of Prakriti. That is also called Kevalya Mukti, the real goal, the final mukti, the final liberation. Attaining this state of moksha, beyond the influence of Prakriti, Prakriti cannot drag that unit back into the creation, into the flow again. That's the moment when the unit will be relieved of all its journeys through the creation. Otherwise, it will keep on traveling through the creation again and again. And moksha is only the state that we can reach which fulfills the purpose of Saguna Brahma. By reaching moksha, we are fulfilling the intention of Saguna Brahma. In a simple figure, coming from Saguna back to Saguna, that's mukti. And it goes on and on. How to stop that cycle? Come from Saguna, back to nirguna. That's moksha. Now we are free from the cycle. In the figure, we can see Saguna Brahma. We are coming from Saguna Brahma. Prakriti is influencing Purusha in Saguna Brahma. With its sentient principle, Sattva creates the Bodhisattva. Now Prakriti is influencing the Bodhisattva with the mutative principle, or the Rajaguna creates Aham Tattva. Prakriti continues influencing Aham Tattva, which is Purusha, influencing Purusha in the form of Aham Tattva with the static principle. Tamaguna creates Chitta. Prakriti continues influencing Chitta with the static principle, or the Tamaguna. The 5 fundamental factors get created. In each one, the influence of Prakriti is more and more. Ether, air, luminous factor, liquid factor, solid factor, more and more, reaches to the maximum of crudeness, solid factor. Then it can be divided into many beings, unit beings. Now consciousness starts being reflected more and more in these various beings, undeveloped beings, plants, animals, humans. Consciousness is fully reflected in humans. So humans can do sadhana. Sadhana can take us to mukti, Saguna Brahma, or can take us to moksha, Nirguna Brahma. What is the real goal? What is the real aim? Moksha. Moksha is the goal. At this point, I will ask you another question. This question also has 5 choices. The difference is that here you are going to choose the correct answer. Choose the correct answer. 5 options. A human being cannot be reborn in an animal body. Number 1. Number 2, mukti is the final goal. Number 3, after moksha, one must return to the cycle of creation again. Number 4, moksha is to merge in Saguna Brahma. And number 5, humanity is at the end of the cosmic thought wave. Choose the correct answer. I give you a few moments. Thank you for your vote. Let's analyze these 5 choices. A human being cannot be reborn in an animal body. That's wrong, because according to the mind, one will be reborn. At that point, the mind is reduced to the samskaras. The samskaras will determine where that mind will be reborn. So Prakriti will take that mind to one body or to another according to the samskaras. The body will be chosen so that it can be suitable to express those samskaras. The environment we are born, the family we are born, the country we are born, everything is related to the samskaras. How we can exhaust the samskaras in a better way. That environment we are born. If our mind in our previous life was just like an animal mind, the thoughts in our mind were not human, were animal-like. In the next life, we'll get an animal body. If our thoughts were even cruder than an animal, we can take form, take shape, take birth in that kind of body. One can even degrade oneself so much or degenerate so much that one can be born in a very primitive structure. Next, so nobody chose that answer, that's fine. Next, mukti is the final goal. No, we talked that moksha is the final goal. Mukti is merging into saguna. Saguna is the qualified. We are still under the influence of Prakriti, and that's not the final. The final is to be beyond the influence of Prakriti. Moksha is the final. Next one. After moksha, one must return to the cycle of creation again. No, after moksha, that is permanent liberation. One is beyond the influence of Prakriti. One must not return to the cycle of creation again, but one could take the samskara voluntarily to come back as a mukta purusha to take others towards liberation. What is a mukta purusha? We saw it in a previous class. Mukta purusha is one who voluntarily goes under the influence of Prakriti for a predetermined period of time in order to do some special work. This special work is usually connected to accelerating the cycle for many beings, taking many other beings towards liberation. So this is the wrong answer. After moksha, one must not return to the cycle of creation again. The next option is moksha is to merge in Saguna Brahma. Some of you chose that one, but moksha is to merge in Nirguna Brahma. Mukti is to merge in Saguna Brahma. Moksha is to merge in Nirguna Brahma. As we go ahead with the course, these terms get more into us, so we start understanding them. These are all new Sanskrit words and we can get confused. The next one is humanity is at the end of the cosmic thought wave. Right. After animality comes humanity. After humanity, again Brahma. So humanity is at the end. Okay, so moving now to a summary. What did we see today? We talked about the aim of humanity. First, we talked about creation. That creation is that process that Saguna Brahma is using to take every being towards liberation. What's the aim of humanity? Humanity is at the end of that process, so the aim of humanity is liberation. Let's be more specific here. At the end, are we going to merge into Saguna Brahma or are we going to merge into Nirguna Brahma? And what's the difference? If the merger is into Saguna Brahma, that is called Mukti. Saguna Brahma, at that point, Purusha, consciousness, is still under the influence of Prakriti. We are not yet free from the influence of Prakriti. It's not a permanent situation. Again, Prakriti will drag that unit back into the cycle of creation. So this mukti is not the final goal, is not a permanent liberation. Permanent liberation is moksha, final liberation. We can call it salvation. That's the final goal. That is merging into Nirguna Brahma, non-qualified state, beyond the influence of Prakriti. And that's the aim of humanity. Now we go into a question and answer session. The first question is, so even after mukti, the sadhaka keeps his or her human body? Let's say that when one merges into Saguna Brahma, but there are still samskaras to be exhausted, one keeps the body. If one merges into Saguna Brahma and there are no more samskaras, then one doesn't keep the body anymore. Then is mukti. Before was a state of samadhi called Savikalpa Samadhi. One merges into Saguna Brahma, attains Savikalpa Samadhi. If there are no more samskaras, that Savikalpa Samadhi is permanent, that is mukti. If there are still samskaras, that Savikalpa Samadhi is not permanent, one comes back. So one can go into samadhi and come back until all samskaras are finished. If samskaras are finished, then doesn't need the body anymore. The next question. Prakriti uses its three gunas to create. Are these three gunas found in Purusha as well in dormant state? Okay, here Brahma has Prakriti and Purusha, two parts. Brahma is composed of Prakriti and Purusha. Some parts of Brahma, or let's say, in a certain state of Brahma, Prakriti is able to qualify Purusha, and that state of Brahma is called Saguna. When Prakriti is not able to qualify Purusha, that state is called Nirguna. Therefore, the point here is not that the three gunas are found in Purusha, the three gunas are found in Brahma. They are always there, sometimes in a dormant state, sometimes in an active state. When they are in a dormant state, Brahma is called Nirguna Brahma. When they are in an active state, Brahma is called Saguna Brahma. Next question. Is there a way for a human to know what state they are in or what level? For example, there are samskaras, or what state a mind is in. Let's try to understand the question, and let's see if we can answer it in the right way. It is difficult for our mind to know what state we are in. If we are having many samskaras to exhaust or not having many samskaras to exhaust, what we have to face, we don't even know what's going to happen in the next moment. When the samskara will be ripe and will express, we don't know. So all this is beyond human understanding and perception, if we try to understand it with our intellect. Our intellect is not able to. And we also don't know if the next moment we are going to reach to Savikalpa Samadhi or if we are going to reach to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So all that is very difficult for the mind to know. And this may give us some anxiety for the future, what's going to happen in our future. So the idea is to do sadhana, to keep mind always in Brahma. By keeping the mind always in Brahma, we are going to feel better. Our movement through all these samskaras will not be so stressful because we are thinking of Brahma. We are thinking deeper. We are beyond the restlessness that Prakriti creates in our mind. The more consciousness is reflected in our mind, less restlessness, easier to go through this ocean. The samskaras will be big waves coming, but our engine is strong. We can cross through these samskaras without much disturbance. So the answer here would be that it's very difficult for our mind to know what state we are in, how many more samskaras. All right. The next question is, are we only reborn on planet Earth? Not necessarily. There are so many planets in this universe. So far, we have not been able to travel physically to another planet which is inhabited by people or beings that are as developed as we are or more developed than we are. There may be planets where there are other beings that are even more developed than us. And if we cannot travel with our physical body to those planets, maybe it can happen that we leave the body in this planet and we take another body in another planet. And in that planet, it's easier for us to exhaust our samskaras. Maybe in that planet, life is more subtle, more spiritual, and that will be easier for us to complete our journey towards liberation. I remember one story. It was a friend of mine who told me a dream that she had when she was expecting her son. She dreamed that a being from another planet came to her and said, "Okay, now I'm coming to this planet," and said that I'm from another planet, talked a little bit about how people are in the other planet and things like that. So that was a very interesting dream that she had before the son was born. So maybe that son in the previous life was actually living in another planet, and in this life is coming to this planet to do some work in this planet. So we are not necessarily only born on planet Earth. We can be born in another planet. The next question. All the atrocities that are committed by man are due to his samskara? Not necessarily. We can have our inborn samskaras. We are born with certain samskaras, but the environment, the education imposes samskaras on us. So our inborn samskaras mixed with the imposed samskaras, now they are going to express in a certain way. If the inborn samskaras are mixed with different imposed samskaras, then the expression will be different. So the expression is not always predetermined. Like recently, there was a shooting in California. One person shot other people dead. We can say, oh, it's the samskara of those individuals, the samskara of that one to do the shooting, the samskara of the other ones to be killed. In a certain way, we are right. But at the same time, that situation was not predetermined. Those samskaras expressed in that way because of the environment, because they became ripe and they were mixed with the environmental samskaras and they expressed in that way. The mental measure that we have to go through of the suffering or of the pain, that is a reaction from the action that we did. But the way it expresses, the way it expresses is not always predetermined. It can change. So we as spiritual people, we have a clear reflected consciousness. We are increasing the reflection of consciousness. Our actions should be guided by consciousness and not by our samskaras. Of course, when we are doing our action, which is guided by consciousness, we are going to go through our samskaras, but it will be a bit different. So when we practice sadhana, when we practice meditation, that changes the way our samskaras get expressed. They can be expressed in a different way. Just imagine when you purchase a house. If you have to pay the whole house at once, you are not able to. But if you finance it and you pay in installments, you can do it. If you have the whole house, the whole bill due at once, you can go bankrupt. But if it comes little by little, you will pay the whole thing and there will be no problem. So in the same way, you have that much samskaras. If everything comes at once, it can destroy your structure. But it comes little by little, you can finish it all and still it will be okay. Suppose you're supposed to have a big accident and you're gonna die. But if you have a broken leg, broken arm, sometime in the hospital, then you recover, then you are paying installments. And then you can go through the whole thing and still keep your human body. So we can say that, yes, samskaras have a certain influence in what's going to happen, but there are other factors also that are the imposed samskaras, not only the inborn ones. Okay. Next question. How can one deal with others who harm them without creating a new samskara? If I just try and avoid someone who harms me, that may not be enough, and I react because I'm human. This could be equivalent to a nation going to war to protect itself, even though we are all supposed to be one human race. Can I avoid the samskara in that manner? We can never avoid the samskara. The samskara has to come. What we can do is to change the way it expresses. How to deal with others. A basic thing is we have to see Brahma in everything. This is a technique of meditation. It's the second practice of Anandamarga system of meditation. That every action that we do, every situation we are involved, we apply this technique to give us the ideation that everything is Brahma. The action is Brahma, the people involved in the action are Brahma, I am Brahma, the objects are Brahma, everything is Brahma. So if everything is Brahma, my action is inspired by consciousness, and I'm not getting the samskara from that action, because only Brahma is doing, the samskara is going to Brahma. Now we are seeing a practical situation that somebody wants to harm us. So how to act? Of course, we should protect ourselves. That is necessary. How to act? still protecting ourselves, we are keeping in mind that we are Brahma, that individual is Brahma, the action is Brahma. That will help us navigate that situation. But we still have to take a decision. Should I defend myself? Should I react? How should I do it? By keeping the ideation, it helps us how we take decision in a way that it's the better decision. But every situation is different, and we have to deal with them as they come, with a cosmic ideation. A whole nation can go to war, but that can also be avoided if there is a very good leader in that nation. The thought wave, the action of that good leader can change the way that samskara expresses. Maybe the nation will have to go through the same suffering equivalent to going through a war, but it will be different. And sometimes you can go through suffering, you can go through the same suffering, but certain situations will be easier, certain situations will be more difficult. If I'm going through some suffering to help somebody, that gives me inspiration, and I go through that suffering voluntarily, happy, and I get inspiration. If I'm just going through the suffering, then I really suffer. Sometimes it's good to do service, selfless service. I may use my time to help other beings without any self-interest. By doing that, I'm getting inspiration. I'm going through certain suffering, exhausting my samskaras, but at the same time, it doesn't feel so heavy. So the situation can always be changed. The samskara we cannot avoid, it will always come, but the situation, the way it comes, can be changed. The next question is, but isn't the environment in which a person is born due to his samskara? Yes, a person is born in a certain environment because of the samskaras, and that's the best place for the person to exhaust the samskaras. But still, the samskara is not predetermined. The mental measure of the suffering or joy will be the same as the action, but the way it happens different. Suppose somebody in that environment is acting by the influence of consciousness and not by the influence of samskaras. When you are acting by the influence of consciousness, your actions will help to change the way samskaras get expressed. If your action is just by the influence of samskaras, which most people who are not having this inspiration from consciousness, they act due to samskaras, but a life of a spiritualist is inspired by consciousness. The actions are inspired by consciousness. Therefore, those actions change the way samskaras are expressed. So even though we are born in an environment because that environment is the best, still the way samskaras express are not predetermined. And there is always one factor that we mentioned in the end of the previous class. There is always grace. Grace of Brahma. That is helping us to navigate through all the samskaras and to move towards moksha. The goal of Saguna Brahma is to take everybody towards moksha. Saguna Brahma is a Mukta Purusha. So Saguna Brahma can take different actions, showering his grace on us so that we can move towards this liberation in a better way. Saguna Brahma expresses himself fully through the Guru. So grace of Guru is very important so that we can reach to our goal, going through all the samskaras, managing to go through all the samskaras. So the environment is the right one for us, but the way the samskaras express can be changed. Changed how? By the influence of consciousness, through grace, through sadhana. And that is all for today. Thank you for participating. Good night. Namaskar.